Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare.
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Radharani Mati, when are you ready, you can start reading, Mati.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna to all dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 23. Maharaj Prithu is going back home. Text 27. In this material world, every human being has a short span of life, but those who are engaged in the devotional service go back home, back to Godhead, for they are actually on the path of liberation. For such person, there is nothing which is not available. Text 28. Any person who engages himself within this material world in performing activities that necessitate great struggle, and who, after obtaining a human form of life, which is a chance to attain liberation from miseries, undertakes the difficulties, tasks, or fruitive activities, must be considered to be cheated and envious of his own self. Text 29. The great sage Maitreya continued speaking, My dear Vidura, when the wives of the denizens of the heaven were thus talking amongst themselves, Queen Archie reached the planet which her husband, Maharaj Prithu, the topmost self-realized soul, has attained. Text 30th. Maitreya continued, the greatest of all the devotees, Maharaj Prithu, was very powerful, and his character was liberal, magnificent, and magnanimous. Thus, I have described him to you as far as possible. Text 31. Any person who describes the great characteristics of King Prithu with faith and determination, whether he reads or hears of them himself or helps others to hear of them, is certain to attain the very planet which Maharaj Prithu attained. In other words, such a person also returns home to the Vaikuntha planet, back to Godhead. Text 32. If one hears the characteristics of Prithu Maharaj and is a Brahmana, he becomes perfectly qualified with Brahmanical powers. If he is Kshatriya, he becomes a king of the world. If he is a Vaishya, he becomes the master of other Vaishyas and many animals. And if he is a Sudra, he becomes the topmost devotee. Text 33. It does not matter whether one is a man or woman. Anyone who with a great respect hears this narration of Maharaj Prithu will become the parent of many children, if without children, and will become the richest if without money. Text 34. Also, one who hears this narration 3 times will become very reputable if he is not recognized in the society, and he will become a great scholar if he is the illiterate. In other words, hearing of the narrations of Prithu Maharaj is so auspicious that it drives away all the bad luck. Text 35. By hearing the narration of Prithu Maharaj, one can become a great, increase his duration of life, gain promotions to the heavenly planets, and counteracts the contaminations of this age of Kali, In addition, one can promote the cause of religious, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Therefore, from all the sides, it is advisable for a materialistic person who is interested in such things to read and hear the narration of the life and the character of the Prithu Maharaj. Text 36. If a king who is desirous of attaining the victory and ruling power chants the narration of Prithu Maharaj 3 times before going forth on his chariot, all subordinate kings will automatically render all kings of taxes unto him, as they rendered them unto Maharaj Prithu, simply upon his order. Text 37. A pure devotee who is executing the different process of devotional service may be situated in the transcendental position, being completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness, but even he, while discharging the devotional service, must read the induce others to hear about the character and the life of Prithu Maharaj. Text 38. The great sage Maitreya continued, "My dear Vidura, I have as far as possible spoken the narrations about Prithu Maharaj, which enrich one's devotional attitude. Whoever takes the advantage of these benefits also goes back home, back to Godhead like Maharaj Prithu." Text 39. Whoever with great reversion and the adoption regularly reads, chants, and describes the history of Maharaj Prithu activities will certainly increase the unflinching faith and the attractions for the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord's lotus feet are the boat by which one can cross the ocean of the Renaissance. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of 4th Canto, chapter 23 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Maharaj Prithu's Going Back Home. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Radharani Mate. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Gopijana Priya Mate, whenever you're ready, you can start, Mate.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you all devotees for joining today's call. Thank you, Radharani Mataji, for reading translations today. Before that, let's start with the brief prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishaya Krishna Prestaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine. Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. So, for the past few months, we have been hearing about Prithu Maharaj pastimes. Especially, we have heard his exemplary character, as well as his wonderful activities as an ideal king. He was protecting his citizens, and he's ensuring that Varnashrama is being followed by them. And he personally followed, and he set as an example to them. And the goal of Varnashrama is to satisfy Supreme Lord. He also ensured that citizens are have that knowledge and realization. And also he has done sacrifice to please Lord Vishnu. Vishnu personally came and has given benediction that you will get to meet my pure devotees. And soon after, 4 Kumaras, they have descended from the sky to meet Prithu Maharaj. And we have seen the humbleness and submissiveness nature of Prithu Maharaj, and he inquired from them about the fortunate condition of all the family people. So 4 Kumaras, they have given the wonderful teachings to them, to Prithu Maharaj, and they went back. So Prithu Maharaj, at the time of at his old age, then what he did was he renounced all his kingly duties and he went for Vanaprastha stage to Vanavas. And his wife also, Archie, has followed him, and we have heard his wonderful austerities in his Vanavas. And along, the intention is only to please Supreme Lord. It is not to, the goal is not to attain any mystic siddhis or any gnana. That is not the intention. Intention is only to please and satisfy Supreme Lord. And also we have heard following her husband, just like she did as a queen in the kingdom, and she followed in his Vanaprastha life also. And even though she's very delicate and very royal woman, but she underwent all the difficulties, and she rendered service unto her husband. So because of that, she did not feel any difficulties, even though it is there in the forest. And also, we heard that Prithvi Maharaj has left his body, and all his material elements have merged into the totality of the material nature. And Archie has lamented a little bit, but she soon realized that it is just passing the soul from one body to another body, and Prithvi Maharaj has attained the highest destination. She performed the final rituals, and she's a chaste wife, and she also entered that fire that Prithvi Maharaj's body was burning. So seeing all that, Devatas, the wives of demigods in the heavenly planetary systems, they appreciate, they're glorifying Mother Archie, that she is a chaste woman, and she's very fortunate to get husband like Prithvi Maharaj, and she followed him throughout her life. So that continuation of glorification is there until 26th, and from 27th onwards, today's verses. So Devatas are saying that the wives of demigods, they're saying that even though the human being has a short span of life, however, if they engage in the path of devotional service, they go back home, back to Godhead. So the lifetime doesn't matter, and whatever the form, because they are in Devatas are in heavenly abodes, and they have such a long duration of life with all the material comforts. Now they are saying that even though humans have a short span of life, that is Lola Isho, but for those who have taken the path of devotional service, that is Naishkarmyam, with the dint of transcendental knowledge, then what happens? They will attain Bhagavat Padam, that is the destination of the devotees. Bhagavat means, Prabhupada writes in the purport, Bhagavat means Supreme Personality of Godhead, as we know. Padam is abode. So the destination of the devotees is Bhagavat Padam. So here in the purport, Prabhupada is quoting Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna says the nature of the material world is anityam asukam. That is, anityam is flickering, asukam is full of miseries. But even though in the material world, it is full of miseries and flickering, but for those who have taken up devotional service and who worship me, that is the best form of utilizing human life. And Prabhupada also uses this quote as the best use of bad bargain. That is, in this material world, everybody is suffering, and even though that is very flickery, but for those, attainment of human life itself is very rare. So once we get that opportunity, we should use that intelligently in order to get the best use of bad bargain. So here, Naishkarmya means the transcendental knowledge, so which is very perfect when one attains devotional service. Until then, it is not perfect, the transcendental knowledge. So we know that Krishna also says that attainment of the pure devotional service is very, very rare. So such pure devotees are very rare. Samahatmas durlabha. And one attains that pure devotional service only after so many lifetimes of gnana, yoga, karma process that one executes in their lives. So it is not that easy. So it happens only by the grace of pure devotee. And we are all beneficiaries of that grace of pure devotees, Srila Prabhupada, here. And Krishna are focusing on this because they are in a higher realm, that is in minutes, and they have such a long duration, but they're not able to utilize this opportunity as Pridhu Maharaj and Achi were using in order to attain the highest goal of the life. So they're they're lamenting themselves that why could we not be able to use that opportunity, even though we have all the higher facilities, right? So they're glorifying Pridhu Maharaj and Archie in that way, even though they have taken both on this earthly realm. So they have used their human form for the highest goal, that is attaining Krishna. And Srimad Bhagavatam, Naishkarmyam api achyuta bhava varjitam. The same word is used here, Naishkarmyam. That is the path of liberation is not at all secure unless one attains the pure devotion service of the Lord. So all other process are not secure. So the path of liberation is only secure when one attains the achyuta bhava, that is attachment to Krishna. And here, the effects of innocence of the high planetary system, they are not very appreciative, the results of the karma, gnana, and yoga. So they are glorifying bhakti here, the process of bhakti, the attainment of bhakti, as well as for those who are who have taken up the path of bhakti. They're glorifying especially Manushya, that is human forms. And 28, here they continue to say that, so for those who, after obtaining a human form of life, so if one does not use that opportunity to become free from miseries, but if they are taking the process of fruitive activities, they undergo so many difficult tasks for sense gratification. So one is considered to be cheated, that is vanchita. And also they are enemies of the own self, madruk. So because they have vishayeshu visajjate, they are very much engaged in the vishaya, that is matter of sense gratification, right? So they are cheated, vanchita, as well as they are enemies of oneself. The purport, Sri Prabhupada writes how everyone in this material world, they do different activities in order to achieve some success in sense gratification. If we see karmis, they perform so many difficult activities like opening gigantic factories, building huge cities and discoveries. So they flatly state that we want sense gratification, right? It is very straightforward. And for yogis, Ashtanga yogis, they want to exhibit their powers, their siddhis in front of the others, so that by seeing such that miraculous results, everybody will be astonished. So that is also yogi's sense gratification, but it is at the higher level, not at the karmis level. Karmis level sense gratification at the gross level. And yogis, they feel satisfaction when others get mesmerized by seeing their powers. That is also sense gratification. And for jnanis, so what they desire is they want to become one with Lord. And they want to merge into the effulgence of Supreme Lord. That is also sense gratification, but it is at the higher degree. So, the aim of all these karmis, jnanis, and yogis is sense gratification. whether it is at the higher degree or at the lower degree. Whereas on the contrary, bhaktas, they're not interested in any sense gratificatory practices. So their only satisfaction is to get an opportunity to serve Supreme Lord. So they're satisfied in any condition. So they just want devotional service unto Lord, nothing else. So here, Prabhupada quotes the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th Canto. This is spoken by Krishna to Uddhava in Uddhava Gita, that Hrudeham Adyam Sulabam Sudurlabam Lavam Sukalpam Guru Karnadharam. My Atmaha. Atmaha means again the killer of the soul. So who is the killer of the soul? Krishna says here, getting the human form of life is very rare, as we know. And this human body is compared with a strong boat, the human form of life. And this is the material ocean that we're all in. And the human form is strong boat. The captain is the spiritual master. He's the navigator. And whereas in order to navigate easily, the favorable winds are needed, right? Those favorable winds are compared to the instructions of Supreme Lord, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. So when we take advantage of all these, then we become perfect in our lives. But for those, even though we have all these facilities, having the human form, we have a spiritual master, as well as the instructions of the Supreme Lord in the form of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. One who does not take the advantages of these, then one is considered as Atmaha, the killer of the soul. That means that committing it is same as committing suicide. Krishna says that. So the similar mood that Devatas are also saying that one who does not take advantage of that human form of life, and they are engaged in the Vishaya, that is sense gratification, they are vanchita, they're cheated, as well as they're enemies of oneself. In the similar mood they are praying. Here in the 29th, so now the conversation went back to the outer put. Maitreya is saying that to Vidura, that they were talking, the wives of the demigods, they were talking among themselves. And Queen Archi reached the planet the same as Maharaj Prudu has attained. That is, here it says Patiloka. So Mother Archi also achieved the same planet as Prudu Maharaj has attained. The report still Prabhupada writes that so we also heard from Grace, the Krishna Vendas Prabhuji yesterday, how women are chaste wives. They just follow their husband. In the Vedic scriptures, we see hundreds of examples of such women. And here Patiloka is mentioned. There seems that there is Patiloka in the material universe also, but this is not the Patiloka that this verse addresses. This means that the loka that Maharaj Prudu has attained, the same loka that Archi also attained. And we know that there are expansions of Lakshmi Narayan, Maharaj Prudu as well as Queen Archi. So they are eternally wife and husband in the Vaikuntha planets. And also Prabhupada makes a point here how there is no sex life in the Vaikuntha planets. So there is, even though they're very extraordinarily beautiful and they are attracted to one another, but they always absorb in Krishna consciousness and glorifying and chanting the glories of the Lord. And here, practically, Bhaktivinoda Thakur also saying that even though one is in the material world, and when husband and wife, they can turn their home into Vaikuntha. So when we install deities and we serve and worship together to the Supreme Lord, and it becomes as good as Vaikuntha. Because when one advances in the devotional service, they'll not be attracted towards any sense gratification. To the proportionate that we have attached to the service of the Lord, we become detached from all these personal sense gratifications. Then the house also becomes as good as Vaikuntha. And 30th, Maitreya is continuing that Maharaj Pruduva is very powerful. He's Anubhavaha. He's very great. He's very powerful, and his Charitam is very great, Uddama, and he possesses so much magnanimous and magnificent qualities. So I could explain you as far as that I can explain. Maharaj Prudu glorifications are unlimited, and purport the Bhagavatama. It is very significant. So we know that Bhagavat is it comes from Bhagavan, that is superiority of Godhead. But however, we see in Srimad Bhagavatam also, Bhagavan is referred to some great personalities also, like Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Narada Muni. So how it will be addressed? And here Prabhupada writes very beautifully that it can be addressed to a great personalities, so who exhibit the extraordinary and uncommon features. So that person can be referred as Bhagavan, or one who attains the ultimate goal, the greatest goal after his disappearance. He can be also addressed as Bhagavan, or one who knows the difference between the knowledge and ignorance. He is also can be referred as Bhagavan, because they are direct empowered incarnations or representatives of Supreme Lord. So those can be addressed as Bhagavan. But the essence is, we should not, in other words, we should not use it Bhagavan for the ordinary people. That's very nice, knowing that important aspect of Bhagavan, whom to use, whom not to use. And 31 to 39, Falastuti is given. So we have heard Prithvi Maharaj wonderful pastimes, and here Falastuti is given, and material aspects also given. The material results also can be achieved. So here, any person who describes the great characteristics of King Prudu with faith and determination, so they will attain the same planet as Maharaj Prudu has attained. That is, the person can return home to Vaikuntha planets. And in the purport to Prabhupada again so beautifully that here, so great characteristics, Sumahat of Prudu Maharaj, when we hear with the Shraddha and Abhihitaha, that is with great attention. So one who reads Patet, Sravyet, one who explains, Srunyat, one who hears it. So they will attain the same planet as Prudu Maharaj has attained. So we know that in the Navavida Bhakti, that is 9 types of devotional services, and Shravanam Kirtanam is at most important. And here also in this verse, Shravanam Kirtanam is especially stressed. And Shravanam Kirtanam is not only about Vishnu, but also the persons who are related to Vishnu, that is Vaishnavas. When we hear, when we glorify, when we read the pastimes of his devotees, it is as good as hearing the pastimes of Vishnu. It purifies, and it gives us inspiration to take up devotional service more sincerely, in a more humble way. And here we see that even Lord Shiva also says that when Mother Parvati has inquired that what is the best worship, Shiva says that Lord Vishnu worship is the best worship. And even more better than Vishnu worship is Vaishnava worship. Right? So like that we have been hearing Prudu Maharaj few devotee pastimes, and that is yeah, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also says that in Guru Ashtaka, Sakshat Haritvena Samasta Sastre, Uttara Tada Bhaveta Eva Sadhi, Kintu Prabhu Ehapeva Tasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam. So the spiritual master the Vaishnava, he should be honored as much as Supreme Lord because he's the confidential servitor of the Lord. Why Vaishnava worship is better than Vishnu worship? Why Lord Shiva says so? Because it pleases Lord Vishnu. When we worship Vaishnavas, it pleases Vishnu. That's why it is better than even Lord Vishnu worship. Text 32. Here, so when who hears Prithvi Maharaj pastimes, if he's a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Sudra, Vaishya, so they'll become qualified in the specific Varna and ashrama. So whatever desire that one have, if you have desire that you for the material prosperity, approach Supreme Lord, worship Supreme Lord. If you don't have any desire, if you want only pure devotion, worship Supreme Lord. If you have desire for liberation, that is moksha karma, in that case also worship Supreme Lord. Whatever the situation that you are in, whatever the condition you are in, worship Supreme Lord. Right? And here we know that Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, they are not just by birthright. They have to exhibit their particular qualities in order to become perfect in their varnas. So here Prabhupada explained that even the Sudra, a person who is born in Sudra family, they can become greater than Brahmana simply by accepting devotional service and by doing Shravanam and Kirtanam, he can become greater than Brahmana because he is situated in Vaishnava platform. 33. And whether one is a man or woman, so when who hears with great respect the narrations of Prithvi Maharaj, so they'll get the children. If they don't have children, they'll get children and they'll become rich. If they don't have money, so this Falasuti is not so excited for devotees, even though those opportunities may be there if it is favorable for our bhakti. Krishna may award, but devotees will not aspire for this. And for some people, it may be there. So for them also, it is appealing to read Prithvi Maharaj pastimes again and again. So in due course of time, their desires, the material desires will also be purified and they'll become perfect in the devotional service. We recently heard about Dhruva Maharaj, how he had material desire in the beginning to get a position higher than Brahma. But during that process, bhakti is so powerful that it purifies our intentions and desires, and all these material desires will go away by the dint of devotional service. And here, 34, Maitreya Muni continued to say that one who is for those who wants reputation, they will get reputation in the society, and he'll become great scholar if he's illiterate. And if one is having bad luck, then by hearing pastimes of Prithvi Maharaj, it becomes auspiciousness. And purport Srila Prabhupada writes that everybody wants in this material world for some reputation, some profit. But when we associate with the different kinds of devotional service to the Supreme Lord or to his devotee, then one becomes opulent in every aspect. They become very powerful and famous. And even though one is not materially well educated, but one who hears, reads Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, he becomes great scholar. And by taking up the devotional service, then everything auspicious will come, and all the bad luck will be drive away. So this is the power of Shravanam and Kirtanam of Supreme Lord and his devotees. And 35th verse, here one may attain the heavenly planets and one can counteract the contaminations of the age of Kali. and one can achieve all Purushartha, that is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So in every aspect, in all the aspects of this materialistic, these are also advisable for the materialistic people just by hearing and reading narrations and life of the Buddha Maharaj, one can achieve that. In the purport, Prabhupada writes that again, Akama, Sarvakama, Moksha Kama, Udarati, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena, Ejeta Purusham Param. So one get purified by the power of Bhakti. And 36th verse, one gets victory, ruling power, just like Prithvi Maharaj also, he was emperor for all the subordinate kings, and he's the king for the entire earth. So one becomes, by hearing those pastimes, one can become victory and ruling, attain ruling power. 37th. So here, so when by hearing the pastimes of Prithvi Maharaj, and he situated in the transcendental position, and he absorbs in Krishna consciousness. So it is not only for the neophyte devotees who hears the pastimes of Krishna and his incarnations and his devotees. So it is by pure devotees. Pure devotees aspire more and more to be in the association of devotees, to hear the pastimes of Krishna, to do Shravanam, Kirtanam, Patanam, Smaranam. So it keeps increasing as we advance in bhakti. In text 38, Maitreya continued to say that I have spoken to you the narrations of Prithvi Maharaj and his life. So one who hears those pastimes, they will enrich their devotional attitude, and they take the advantage of these benefits and go back home, back to Godhead, right? So here in the purport, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying that Sravyet is very important. Not only one should read himself, he should also inspire the others to read and hear. So that is called preaching. Not only we become perfect in our lives, we will also help the others to become perfect in their lives. And we inspire them to read and chant. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends this practice. Tare dekha tare kaha Krishna Upadesh. So whomever that you meet, whatever the condition it is, simply talk with him about the instructions given by Supreme Lord. And again, Prabhupada is stressing again that one should not make any distinction between the pastimes of the Lord and activities of the Prithvi Maharaj. And last verse for today, 39. So these are the last two verses. These are the two things that devotees aspire for. So above Falastuti, the material results, material prosperities, maybe some category of people are there who aspire. But whatever the desires that you have, Akama, Sakama, Moksha Kama, worship Supreme Lord. So when we hear the pastimes of Prithvi Maharaj, so all the categories of people get benefited. And especially devotees always wants to glorify Supreme Lord, and they want to have continuous Harikatha going on. And 39th verse, it says, one who regularly reads, chants, and describes the history of Maharaj Prithvi activities, they will increase unflinching faith, Shraddha, and attraction, Rati, for the lotus feet of the Lord. So the Lord's lotus feet are the boat by which one can cross the ocean of missiles. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that Bhavasindhu Poda Pade is very significant here. And lotus feet of the Lord is also called as Mahat Padam. What is Mahat Padam? That means that the entire material existence rests upon the lotus feet of the Lord, right? And so we are in the material existence. And the lotus feet, all this material existence is at the rest on the lotus feet of the Lord. Then we take the shelter of lotus feet of the Lord. The entire this material science, it becomes very small. It becomes very easy to cross over, right? And here Prabhupada says that in 10.8, Krishna says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava, everything emanates from me. And this cosmic manifestation is also resting on the lotus feet of the Lord. So one who takes the shelter of Supreme Lord or his devotee, his pure devotee, then all these missiles it becomes minimized. So how does it happen? By hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, and firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. So what is the taking the shelter of lotus feet? That means that hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord and his devotees and following the instructions of the Supreme Lord and following the instructions of his pure devotee, then it means we are taking the shelter of lotus feet of the Lord. So, so this can be easily achieved by narrating the history of the life of Prithu Maharaj regularly. Yeah, these are very wonderful verses. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. Thank you for all joining and giving your association. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada jai. Vanchakalpatarubhescha kripa sindhubevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namah. Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Wonderful class, Mataji.